Are boxing media still so upset that they got the Ryan Garcia mental health issue incorrect that they're now going super hard on him for the failed A sample? In my opinion, it's way too early in the process to condemn him so hard as to call for a lifetime ban because one, we're missing key pieces of info, and two, we have not yet allowed due process to play out. So Ryan Garcia had his A sample tested and it came back positive for ostarine, which is a synthetic substance. It's not something your body makes, and also for a metabolite, which means the residue of an anabolic steroid, norandrolone. Now, your body does produce that naturally. So, the key question or the key piece of information that we were not given is what were the levels of concentration of the ostarine and the norandrolone metabolite, because both of those substances need to be at a certain level of concentration in order to be effective as performance enhancing drugs. So I have yet to see any numbers attached to either of those substances. That's the first key point. So for those of you who need a quick refresher on chemistry, maybe you remembered something you studied called concentration of solutions. Well, let me give you an analogy to help with that. So, for example, let's say I ask you, hey, you want me to get you a coffee? And you tell me, yeah, get me a black with 2. That's how people in New York order their coffee. So what they mean is they want a black coffee with 2 teaspoons of sugar. But me being a smarty pants, I decide I'm going to get you a black coffee with 2 grains of sugar. Now, if I give that back to you, you're going to taste and go, you didn't put any sugar in it. Now, I could say, yes, I did. And I could go to the lab and get it tested and prove to you that there's sugar in that coffee, which the lab test would come back saying there is, in fact, sugar in this coffee solution. But it's not a high enough concentration that you can even taste it, right? Because 2 grains compared to 2 teaspoons in 1 cup is a big difference in the concentration of the coffee. So my point is, what were the concentration levels of the ostarine? What was the concentration level of this anabolic steroid metabolite or residue? Because unless they're beyond a certain threshold, there's not really any point in having, there's no benefit to having them in your body at a super low concentration. So that's big point number 1. But even more importantly, this is the United States of America, and we're all entitled to due process. We're supposed to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. And part of that process is an athlete who tests positive with their A sample can ask for their B sample to be tested. Now, if that still comes back with a positive for banned substances, the athlete is still entitled to due process. They have time to do research on their end to double check all their supplements or something, investigate whether something they ate could have led to the positive test. By the same token, I'm going to venture to guess they also have the right to investigate the testing procedures themselves. Now, here's a key point that no one's mentioning is that these positive tests for Ryan came back for the day before the fight, April 19th, and the day of the fight, April 20th. So now all his previous tests were clean. So ask yourself, what's the point of taking a PED 1 day before your fight? Or maybe you took it 2 days before your fight and it turned up in the test 1 day before your fight. But the answer is there's not really much benefit to taking a PED. I don't think there's any benefit to taking a PED that close to the night of your performance. Certainly not something that's supposed to help you build muscle or lean out. At that point, it's too late. So that's a huge question. Supposedly Ryan has all these previous tests that came back clean. So why are these last 2 coming back showing signs of PEDs? Now, I defer to Derek More Plates More Dates on all things PED related, because he's knowledgeable and he did do a deep dive on this. So check out his video. I won't give away the spoiler on that, but my main concern is that media seems to think that they can take the place of the judiciary branch and declare somebody guilty and then condemn them to a punishment of their choosing, which in Stephen A. Smith's case is a lifetime ban. It's like, look, media, we're supposed to be here to report the facts to us, not to add to the hyperbole, not to act as judges. So I really wish they would dial it back and just do some more investigative reporting, like find out the answers to these questions that I just posed. You guys are paid professional journalists. You're getting paid to do research, to have the time to spend on doing research, so please do your due diligence. It shouldn't be up to us lay folk to have to do all the legwork for you and all the analytical thinking for you. But all that said, it is a little bit scary when media thinks that they're stepping way out of their lane, and they're asking government agencies, which is state commissions, to clamp down further on other private citizens who are pursuing their profession. It's the state commissions, government agencies, that have the power to license professional boxers. So for the media to ask a government agency to impose severe punishment against a private individual licensed by that government agency, it just seems way out of line and way too big brother-ish for my liking. And finally, by media asking for such severe and sudden punishment against Ryan Garcia, they're just playing into his own narrative of this whole conspiracy theory stuff. So they're not really helping their cause. They're sort of adding more fuel to his fire, and will be subject to further trolling from him, I imagine. But if you have any more hard, concrete, quantitative information on these failed drug tests by Ryan Garcia, please put that info in the comments. And in the meantime, I do highly recommend you check out Derek More Plates More Dates in general, because he's got a highly informative YouTube channel. And then, of course, check out his interpretation of Ryan Garcia's failed drug test. Thank you very much for listening. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.